I'm a story lover. I love to tell stories. I love to hear stories. I love like the campfire setting where we can sit around and talk about life and stories. It is what I love to do. And before I had kids, all of my stories were about like sports stuff that I have done and school stuff and like what's going on in the world type of stuff. But now that I've had kids, I've realized that 90+% of what I tell about my stories are my kids, and like they take over my mind. That's all I think about every single day. And there's stories that include like what my kids are doing, stories about my parenting, and some are good and some are bad. But I think they're always good to share stories with one another. And so that being said, I have a story about Carter today. Something happened last week with Carter that I want to share about with you guys. And I want to start out by saying this was a parenting fail. I dropped the ball big time, and I want to. What I'm going to talk about is kind of based off this story. So I'm going to share the story with you first. Last Saturday, the first Saturday I've been able to sleep in a month. When I say sleep in, I mean like 7 o'clock. That's sleeping in now. But our kids still wake up about 6:30. And I was up late the night before doing homework and getting ready for some other stuff. And I hadn't really slept that well. So I was kind of tired, kind of groggy. And the kids waking up at 6:30 didn't really help. So when I finally get up, I head downstairs. I make a beeline for our coffee maker because that's the only way I'm going to make it through the next couple hours. Because with some coffee in my system. And before I could get down our stairs, Carter's at the bottom of the stairs saying, "Hey, can we play the Xbox together? We've got this game. It's my basketball game that I play, and you can have a character running around what they call the neighborhood. It's where it's just fun, and he likes to just explore. And there's back alleys in the neighborhood that he walks down, just stares at a trash can for about 10 minutes. I don't know why, but he loves it. And I told him that before we could play, I need coffee. We need to sit down. You guys need breakfast still. Let's get that done, and then we'll see. And that's the key, though. We'll see. So I got the coffee, and Karen and I are sitting at our table having our cup of coffee, and I'm on my second cup. And Carter, of course, just hurled down his food as fast as he can because he's excited to play. And right as he's done finishing that last spoonful, he's like, "All right, can we play now?" It's like, "Buddy, wait. I need my coffee. Before I can function, I need my coffee." So once we finished that, about another 15, 20 minutes, Karen and I were sitting around talking like, what are we going to do today? We don't want to just sit at home. It's my day off. It's her day off. We want to go and have fun. And we realized that we got some laundry to do. We have some chores to do first, and then we could go and have fun. So Carter, sorry, we can't play right now. We have to clean our rooms. So we have to do some laundry. And before we knew it, it was lunchtime. So we sat down and started making lunch. And as we're cleaning up lunch, Carter goes, "All right, can we play now?" I was like, "Well, buddy, after every lunchtime, you know this. It's been happening your entire life. You guys go to your room for quiet time, where you guys just go and sit, read a book, calm down." So yet again, I'm telling him later. And the hour goes by, they're at the quiet time, and Karen and I both agree that we need to go do some errands. We need to go to the store, and we're out of groceries for dinner that night, so we need to go to the store and get some groceries. So we get everyone excited, we run out the door, go get go to Target, go to King Soopers, getting groceries, and we realize we haven't had dinner yet. It's 6 o'clock, so if we go home, it's going to be 7:30. It's their bedtime before it's time to get them to bed. And so we'll just go to Wendy's real quick. They got that $5 bag that feeds our whole family. So we went to Wendy's, and as we're sitting at Wendy's, I get a text from Scott. It's like, "Hey, are we still good to meet at 7? It's like, "Yeah, I'll be right there." It's like 6:50 at this point. So without thinking, Karen runs me over and drops me off, and I get a ride back with Scott later on that night, and I get home, and the kids are in bed. And I run upstairs, and I look at Carter and kiss him goodnight, and he goes, "Daddy, we never got to play the Xbox today. And my heart sinks. Even now, it sucks. All he wanted to do all day was just sit down. It would have taken no more than 10 to 15 minutes of playing that with him in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever, but that's all it would have taken. And I told him no so many times. So I kiss him goodnight. I tell him I'm sorry. Let's go home. We'll play tomorrow. So I sit down, and it's another homework night for me, so I'm up late doing homework again. I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus at all. I couldn't stop thinking about how I let him down. And all he wanted to do was play that video game. So my homework was shot. I ended up doing homework that night. I couldn't think. But what I did start to think about was, how often do I do this with God? Am I so busy that spending time with God just doesn't happen? Just like Carter, God is always wanting to spend time with us. He wants time with us. He created us that way. So I was thinking that, like, do I just get too busy? Do I blow him off? Do I say, I'll pray later. I'll read my Bible later. I got stuff to do now. Do I purposefully put God off so that I can do my other stuff because I get too busy? I know I'm disappointing God just like I'm disappointing Carter. Because he tells us in Exodus 20 that he's a jealous God. He doesn't want us worshiping other things like our laundry or our busyness schedules or our material things. He wants us to. He wants our full attention. He wants time with us. That was the original plan with Adam and Eve in the garden. They were together spending time. I can only imagine thinking about Adam and Eve before the fruit. They had time one-on-one with God, and they were able to sit there and have conversations and enjoy each other's company. And that's what God wants with us. So I have to ask you guys today, and this is the topic of our conversations, barriers. What's keeping us from God? Maybe you have more than one thing that keeps you from spending time, but we're going to look into this idea. And I want you to go ahead, if you have your Bibles, turn to Matthew 19. We'll have the verses up here as well so that we can follow along together. But while we do this and while I start flipping, I want to tell you guys that this week at work, I've heard the secret to life and the secret to successful life. And I want to tease that now because I'm not going to tell you until the end what the secret of life actually is. But I'm excited that when I saw this week, it really put everything into focus of what I'm doing wrong. So Matthew 19, starting in verse 16, we're going to read the story of the rich man. And it starts out by saying, someone came to Jesus with this question, "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" And if we go back a little bit before chapter 19 and 17, Jesus had just done a transfiguration. Then he starts talking to the disciples about the kingdom of heaven and he shares some parables with them as well. In chapter 18, Jesus leaves Galilee and goes to Judea. Crowds are following him, so he's not by himself. He's not with his disciples. There's large crowds following him, including some of the Pharisees who are trying to constantly trip Jesus up. And then right before where we're at in 19, in verse 13, Jesus gets to play with some kids. And that's super exciting because I get to play with kids all the time. And it kind of ties in that idea that Jesus was so busy with all these crowds following him, yet he still set aside time to play with his kids. And that's not his kids, with the kids. So that was a neat little thing there. But verse 16 again says, someone came out to Jesus with this question, "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" So this rich man is talking about eternal life and how to spend time with God for eternity. And he asks, what good deed is there? He's asking about eternal life, and he has to do he asks what he has to do in order to achieve it. What's good about this is that he's seeking, he's constantly asking. He wants to spend the rest of his life with God. The issue is he's assuming there's something that he can do to achieve it. And we don't know where this man's wealth came from, but perhaps It was an inheritance where his dad died and his family wealth gets attributed to him next. However, I would argue that because he's asking what good deed, he's a worker. He probably earned the wealth that he had. People who are given things in life typically don't ask, what else can I do to achieve more? And that's what this guy's doing, is what can I do to achieve more? So Jesus answers the question by throwing it back to the scriptures and the commandments. In verse 17, he says, "Why ask me about what is good?" Jesus replied. There is only one who is good. But to answer your question, if you want to receive eternal life, keep the commandments. Keep the commandments is what Jesus says. Answering his, what works must I do to get eternal life? Keep the commandments. Do you guys remember how many commandments there are in the Old Testament? How many laws? There's over 600 commandments. So when Jesus says, if you want to do this, keep these 600 laws every day, every hour, every minute, every second, that probably starts to seem a little daunting, doesn't it? So the man responds in verse 18, he says, which ones? Thinking, well, okay, I know there's 600. What are the top 10? Give me a bullet list of the ones that I could be sure to keep. So he says, which ones? Jesus replied, you must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely. Honor your mother and father. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then what's interesting in verse 20, this man quickly interjects. After hearing just this short list, I bet you if he hadn't interjected, Jesus would have gone through all 600 laws and listed them all as like, this is what you have to do. You asked, this is what you have to do. The guy's like, no, stop. I've obeyed these commandments, the young man said. What else must I do? So remember my idea in verse 16 when he says, I've done all these things, there must be something more. There's got to be something more to this plan. It's not just following these rules. And we know that following these 600 commands is futile. It's not going to happen. So when he asks, what else must I do? Again, it's that daunting feeling like, I've done all these things. I've been perfect. And, maybe that's true. Maybe he was a pretty good guy, but he still knew there was something else that wasn't there. And that leads us to verse 21 that I just absolutely love Jesus' response. And Jesus says, if you want to be perfect, following these 600 rules would make him perfect. So Jesus kind of sarcastically says, if you want to be perfect, this is what you have to do. Go and sell your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. So Jesus already kind of pointed out this idea of, if you want to be perfect, saying you're pretty prideful right now. You admit and tell me that you've kept all these commandments, which we know not to be true. Even if he hadn't lied to his mommy and daddy as a kid, and he ate all of his vegetables, and never did anything wrong to his brothers and sisters, even if he did all these things, and given the benefit of the doubt of that, we still know he slipped up somewhere. So Jesus, after pointing out, you're not perfect, also says, there's another issue. All of your stuff needs to go. All of your material possessions need to be sold. You give it all to the poor, and you come follow me with what you got on your back. So there's this stuff, as well as his pride, that was keeping him from God. In verse 22 we read, but when the young man heard this, he went away sad, for he had many possessions. So like I said, if we give him the benefit of the doubt, perhaps he was a really good guy. And perhaps he did stick to the commandments as well as he could. He did all the right things. He helped those around him. He treated everyone with love and respect. He never killed anybody. He never stole anything, not even a little pack of gum from the gas station. He definitely ate his vegetables as a kid. He never lied and always did what he was told to do. Even if all of this was true, he still had this stuff that was keeping him from the one thing he wanted. When I was younger, I used to read stories like this and criticize this guy. It's like, don't you know how easy it is? Just sell everything and give it all away. Like, super critical of this guy. It's like, what a dummy. Why not just listen to what Jesus has and your life would be so much better? It's not that hard. But the truth is, it's not that easy. If we read what is in this book and we actually did it, our lives would be so much better than what they are. But for some reason, we just don't do it. So now I realize my criticism of men like this is just completely false, completely wrong. And I've got barriers just like the rest of them. My barriers are that I am fascinated with being busy, and that oftentimes leads to exhaustion. I will work myself so hard that I will just pass out on the couch when I get home from work. And for me, it started out 2 weeks before graduation from college. I was in the middle of a semester. I was about to start my last semester of college, taking 21 credits, 7 classes. And Karen and I found out that we were about to have a baby. And that was stressful. But I knew that I couldn't drop out at this point. I was so close, I had to keep on going. So I powered through these last 7 classes. It worked out that Carter was supposed to be born about a month after graduation, so I was going to be fine, get through school, and then get ready for the baby. Except Carter had different plans and came 5 weeks early. Which, if you do the math, that's 1 week before finals. So I had 5 exams, 2 30-plus papers due, and 1 premature newborn who was in the hospital still. I studied for my final set of finals before graduating college in a hospital bed. Sleep wasn't a part of my life at that point. I made it through graduation. Turned out I had the best GPA of my life that semester. But then I immediately went to work for my dad, who owned a moving company at the time. We did commercial office moves. I was going 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, working with him. Carter had colic, which means he didn't sleep at all and screamed 24 hours a day. He had that for 6 months. So the first 6 months of Carter being born, again, no sleep. But I knew I had to keep on going. So we skip ahead to the time when I have 3 kids, and we moved from Fort Collins down here to Colorado Springs. I just got a new job and started working in church. Because of course, you have 3 kids at this point, and why not add yet another thing onto your list? So I started working as a youth pastor and did that for a year, and then we found out that Tinley was coming. So I had another kid to that. And right about that same time, I was like, why don't I go back to school and get my master's degree? I have a hard time saying no. And I want to accomplish so much that I get so busy that I get so exhausted and my personal relationships suffer. So a few weeks ago, again, the idea of doing too much, not knowing when to stop, I start digging into the Greek language and working through the New Testament and doing some word searches and trying to get a better grasp of what the Bible is saying to us. And I come across Mark 2:27. And I think God led me this verse for a purpose. This was the first one that I started on. It says, Jesus said to them, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of the people, and not the people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. That's a powerful, 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 powerful verse. So the word I've looked at here is Sabbath. So I'm going to give you a quick overview. The word we know as Sabbath came from the Greek word sabbaton, which was taken from the original Hebrew word sabbat. And we see this word first show up in Exodus 20 with the Ten Commandments. And this word, Sabbath, is meant to portray the idea that we are to cease from work. And that's what Jesus is saying here, is that the Sabbath isn't something that we're supposed to meet the requirements of, like we can't take more than 1 or 2 steps, we can't cook on this day. But it's we know, God knew we were going to be busy. And so he gave us a day and said, this is your day to spend time with me and be rested, not to meet the requirements. So I want to look at Exodus 20 real quick just to get the context of the word Sabbath. So in Exodus 20 verse 8 starts off and says, remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for ordinary work, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to your Lord God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. Keyword is work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For those 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth and the sea and everything in them. But on that 7th day he rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy. So even back when God was on the mountaintop with Moses saying, I created the world in 6 days, and yet I still took that day off to rest. It wasn't a day where I just had to sit still and not do anything. It was a day to take a break from work, and that's what was prescribed in there. And it shows, as we read through the rest of the commandments, that God places the same priority on rest as he does not murdering and not stealing and the other commandments, which is fantastic. He's commanding us to not only not murder, but to take a day of rest. And to God, rest and having fun are very important. I think we should probably be realigning our priorities closer to God's priorities. Growing up, I remember my dad saying, he said this so many times, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I know where I get my busyness from him. He was always working hard for our family, and oftentimes he was working those same 12 to 14-hour days in the moving business. He did that for 20 years. 6 days a week. And if you want to know what tough work is, that's tough work. On top of that, he coached my baseball teams growing up. He was a deacon at his church, a Sunday school teacher for 30 plus years. He never stopped. However, after studying this word Sabbath, I learned that's not what God wants us to do. He wants us to rest. He commands us to do the things other than work so that we can be refreshed. Work is important, but the idea of the Sabbath is more important. So I want to ask you a question. How many times do I allow my desires to be busy, which leads to being exhausted and becoming a barrier to my time with God? The final verse we're going to look at is Exodus 34:21. And God really doubles down on this idea of the Sabbath by emphasizing the idea that work isn't an excuse. It says, you have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on the 7th day you must stop working, even during the seasons of plowing and harvest. And if you've ever spent any time around family or have family who farm, harvest season is a very busy season. It's often time. My wife's uncle was a farmer for the majority of his life. It's 20-hour work days. Work in the fields, getting the stuff up, or else you run out of time and your crop's no longer worth anything. You have to get your job done. And the example that that God uses here is that even during the seasons of harvest, stop working, relax, enjoy a day off. I know our jobs could be overwhelming, housework could be overwhelming, taking care of family members can be overwhelming, church can be overwhelming. But none of that should ever stop you from that time that God said is holy, the time that we have set apart to rest and enjoy life. So again, my question to you, same question as always, is what is keeping you away from spending time with God? What are your barriers? Is it busyness like me? I would imagine that's a fairly common one. Maybe it's your finances that are keeping you away from spending time with God, worrying about your finances. Maybe it's a relationship or a friendship that you have that continually drags you away from spending time with God. So I told you earlier that I have the secret to life. And this is amazing. It's a little hand representation. This hand will represent our circumstances, our barriers to God. And this hand will represent God, and I will be myself. So, all the circumstances we have, my busyness, my exhaustion, everything is here. And my priorities have God here. Now, when my barriers are here, I can't see God. They're stopping me from getting to God. They're stopping God from getting to me. So here's the breakthrough that I learned this week. You see that? Is that cool? Let's do it again. Barriers, God. When our barriers are in front of God, between us, we can't experience God. But if we simply reorganize our priorities, God now can get to us. But watch this also. God also stops our barriers from getting to us. You see, when we reorganize our priorities, there are no more barriers between us and God. Not only can we see God directly, but we can spend time with Him. Now He is the barrier between us and the garbage that keeps us separated. Before, we can only see God through the circumstances. With God in the forefront now, we'll be able to see our circumstances through Him instead. It's pretty simple. Just like it was for the rich man, right? Just go sell your stuff and follow me. I have the answers. Sell everything and follow me. You don't need this stuff over here because I have what you need here. Pretty simple. Just reorganize our priorities. God will be there. So let's go ahead and pray. God, I thank you for today, and I thank you for giving us a way to get out of our barriers. And Father, if we reprioritize our life to you and focus on you, these barriers won't get in our way of us spending time with you. Father, we recognize that your original creation had us with a very close relationship with each other and with you, but we've put barriers in our way. So Father, I ask right now that in this time of response that you make our barriers apparent to us so that we can start to tear them away. We can start to put you in front of them instead of them in front of you. We pray this in your name.